This is Laura Vanderkam. I'm a mother of 5, an author, journalist, and speaker.
And this is Sarah Hart-Unger. I'm a mother of 3, a practicing physician, and blogger on the side. We are 2 working parents who love our careers and our families.
Welcome to Best of Both Worlds. Here we talk about how real women manage work, family, and time for fun. From figuring out childcare to mapping out long-term career goals, we want you to get the most out of life. Welcome to Best of Both Worlds. This is Laura. This is episode 236, which is going to be a Hodge Podge episode. A few mini life updates, a discussion of time tracking, and some listener questions because we keep getting awesome ones and want to get to as many as possible. So Sarah, why don't you update us a little bit on life right now, which we're recording this in late January of 2022.
Yes. Okay. So I recently created an elaborate screen time rationing, allocation system for the kids. I think this happened after one of my husband's call weekends when everyone was basically just stretched out on the floor on their devices for like a million hours. I'm not going to say I felt guilty, but I had the sense that when I forced them to go off, that they were losing the ability to be able to entertain themselves in any other way. And it was too much for me. So I decided to just create a little bit more structure around it. And this is not like a minimalist screen time system, but more just so they know like what they can do and also to tie certain behaviors to screen time. And so for the nuts and bolts of the system, on weekdays, we're sticking to just like TV shows only. Because once they start playing video games, it's just too addictive. They get sucked down, they get more hyper. Like I can't on weekdays. But on weekdays, once they've done their homework and had dinner, taken a bath or shower, I think that's pretty much it. They can watch. That usually means that because they have activities a lot of days, that doesn't happen until 6:45 anyway. So it's perfect. They get and then they can watch until 7:30, and that's like the cutoff time on the weekdays. On the weekends, and I typed this all out with Annabelle's help, by the way, so that the kids had like buy-in and that I can refer to it and like I put it up on the wall. On the weekends, they get 90 minutes as a baseline, but they can earn up to 90 minutes more for a total of 3 hours. So they can get from 1:30 to 4:30 on screens if they've like done various things throughout the week, which they seem pretty motivated to do. And that screen time can be spent doing anything, playing video games, doing whatever. And this is our first weekend on this new system, so I will have to report back. They're pretty good actually about knowing that they're not going to get it before a certain time. Like we always had 1 or 1:30 as our cutoff time. And like, I guess I've just been firm enough that they're not going to ask me at 10. The hard part is getting them off. So it's the 4:30 that's going to be like a hard sell. But I've got to make sure they can do something else that's self-directed other than that. That's just my feeling on it. So we'll see how it goes.
I wonder if having something that's going to happen around 4:30, like, right, like we're going to go out for a bike ride or we're going to go find a friend might help with the incentive part there.
Absolutely. I think so. I think we're going to have, if they don't want to do that thing, then fine. Then you can do your other quiet indoor activity, like whatever else non-screen, but like having an option, and I think maybe making it social so that if they're meeting up with a friend or like going to the playground to see somebody, that might be more enticing. So definitely.
And I was just going through your life updates you've listed here.
My life update list. Okay, yeah, my second life update is really boring. I've been going to bed really early. I think it's the winter. Like winter is just, and it's not even cold. Like here, it's not even cold. Although my phone keeps giving me these like alerts. There's like freeze warning is coming. Like it's going down to 35. And I don't know, probably it's like a plant thing. Like maybe people's plants might die down here. I don't know, but it's kind of exciting. That's really cold for here.
Freeze alert. Yeah, we don't get those.
But yes,
it's so cold.
But having the kids on a better schedule, like making sure their devices are off by 7:30 and going upstairs means that they go to bed and then I go to bed. Like I don't have any energy after that. So whatever, it's been great. And then my third update is that I remain off of all social media, which I actually might be a lifetime. I don't know. Now that it's gone, I'm like, I don't miss it at all. And I feel like there were some negative feelings that I had when I would scroll Instagram that were not worth the positives that I got out of it. I still read blogs. I like to comment on other people's blogs. That doesn't seem to bother me at all. I subscribe to podcasts. I am on a couple of Patreons. So it's not that I don't want to interact with people online. I just don't want to do it via an app like Instagram. So I'm off of that. And then finally, I'm really enjoying Wordle. Now, by the time this airs, probably the entire country will be doing Wordle because it seems to have taken off like wildfire, except for Laura.
Yes,
so far.
I am not doing Wordle. I don't know. I'm not really tempted right now. I don't need.
It takes 5 minutes, right?
I'm sure.
That's all you get.
I'm sure it's a great thing. I totally support it for other people. Like, I think it's a great thing to do in a small bit of time. And, there's only one a day, right? Like, I get so it's, you can't spend that much time on it. It's like a little treat every single day. But nope, not doing it yet. Yeah, my life updates, we just did the whole episode on moving, so people don't need to hear about that. But we are, I've been turning in the next round of edits on Tranquility by Tuesday, choosing covers. So that's what's going on work-wise right now. So pretty excited about that.
I got a tiny cover sneak peek.
Yeah, well, we're doing different ones. Sorry.
Oh, that's okay. I forget what I did. I don't even remember my feedback anymore.
Yeah, well, I decided I didn't like the one that we were going with, so we did new ones. Well, we'll see how it goes, but it's been complicated. Another life update, we recently did the time tracking challenge. So had about 4,000 people tracking their time as part of the 2022 time tracking challenge. It was great. And I'm getting logs. People have been sending in logs. It's hard to get through all of it because there's a lot of them, and I'm trying to respond thoughtfully to all of them. So, I'm still going. Kind of do a couple every single day, much like the boxes, unpack a few boxes, send a few emails about the time logs. I will get through all of them. It just takes a bit of time. But you did the time tracking for a while, right? Like or a day or two, a couple days?
I did it for like most of a week, but then I had a really bad day and I was like, I don't know. I was emotionally unable to time track, which is a bad excuse because you've done it for 6 years and I'm sure you've had a few or 8 years. I don't even know. I'm sure there's been a few bad days in there.
Well, I'm curious, like what was the making you feel like you didn't want it? Like, it seems to me that that's sort of separate.
I just had it is totally separate, but like, how you have like I had a very work stress related day and I was just so upset about some things. I just like didn't want to do anything.
Yeah. You didn't, and so you wouldn't just see. When I get like stuff like that, I often just don't put any notes. I just do work on the 30-minute thing, and I'm not saying anything about it. I'm just saying like this. I was at work. I was working. Whatever. I mean, you could say, yeah, you were just at work, and like
I could have. There's no reason that I didn't. I think I just like I didn't fill out my planner that day either. Like I was just sort of like, I hate life.
I hate everything.
I don't know. Yeah, exactly. Sometimes that happens. I think I do a lot of time tracking like halfway organically because I often set up my planner with like a little timeline and I write in my kind of hard landscape stuff. And then I tend to like write in as things are happening, like what else is happening. So like to some extent, I do time tracking. I don't feel like there's a lot of surprises in how I spend my time, especially now that I'm like off of social media. That definitely helps. And I'm kind of boring. Like a lot of my days are very similar. I like my morning routine. I like my like nighttime routine where most nights I'm just like putting the kids to bed and reading and I'm fine with that. So I don't know. I think it's a great exercise though. I do think it's, especially if you're kind of like not sure which routines are serving you or how long things really take. Like I feel like I have a handle on that right now, but maybe like after the move or when the big kids go to camp, like when things change, I'll want to do that again to just be like, okay, are there new opportunities now perhaps to take advantage of pockets of time that weren't there before?
Yeah, no, that's definitely a good idea. It's been interesting seeing people's logs, like what comes in. Kind of everyone who sends it in, like, well, not everyone, but a lot of people like, this was not a typical week. I was like, well, it never is. This is sort of life. We have a picture of what our life should look like, and life never quite looks like that because life happens. And then we're like, oh, that wasn't a typical week. It's like, well, probably whatever it was more typical than atypical. It's just life never does go completely as planned. These are people who, for most of part, these are people who subscribe to my newsletter. So there's a lot of like great stuff going on there at the time. Like these are people who are into productivity. Like, so there's a lot of people with these impressive morning routines, or they're, doing 2 workouts a week during their lunch break and then the 2 on the weekend. So they've got their 4, and there's just, it's fun to see how much awesome stuff people have going on in life. But I would say that one thing that's coming up a lot and might be surprising to people is that I wind up suggesting a lot that people come up with some sort of outside of work and family commitment or hobby. Because what winds up happening is it looks on the time log like the person could theoretically have the time, right? Like there's, an evening is they have older kids, for instance. The evening is mostly just like screen time, for instance, or on the weekends. there's some stuff, but then there's also a lot of period of time where they're doing chores or they're doing, screen time because there's not something else there, right? And I think what happens is people have, been so busy through their lives, like they've, been dealing with work and, with young kids and all this stuff. And then there comes a point where some amount of time opens up. But if you're still operating with the story that I have no time, like you don't think about what you're going to do with it, and the time keeps passing, and so you do something. And so I wind up suggesting to a fair number of people, like, think about it. Well, what would you like to do? Like if you said, I'm going to devote 2 to 3 hours a week to something that I think would be really fun for me. What is that thing? And, we'll see if people wind up doing it. But this is my mission. Tell everyone they need a hobby. Something else. So you're, at least one night a week looks different, or one chunk of weekend time looks a little different, and to challenge people to think that they might have space for it in their life. All right, so let's get to our questions because we have a lot of really good ones. We can go ahead and
wait. Let's take a break first.
Okay, we'll do the break first, and we'll be right back. All right, well, we are back with our Hodge Podge episode. Now we're going into the question chunk of it, where we're going to have a couple of questions because we've got a lot of great ones. We could do like all mailbag all the time, but we try to mix it up a little bit. All right, so this one is particularly for Sarah. So she is a junior physician who is applying for a leadership position in a local organization. She's already on the board, so it makes sense. However, it's going to be competitive. And so she is struggling to figure out how to tailor her application and her pitch of this. The organization values equity, diversity, inclusion. So she's hoping that she's, not necessarily a traditional physician, meaning not a white man, but so she thinks she's not going to be automatically out of the running. That this organization is open to this sort of thing. However, she's concerned about how she can be confident and sell herself for it. So what advice do we have for her?
So I am no expert because I don't think I've ever done a hiring for something like this high up, but I definitely do a lot of interviewing for other types of positions, whether that's, other physicians on our faculty and about 9 million residency interviews. So I got to say, enthusiasm and energy often sells itself. Like just bringing your all to the table, and you may actually benefit from having a unique energy compared to maybe some of the
Vanderkam. I'm a mother, journalist, and speaker.
Sarah Hart Unger. I'm a practicing physician and blogger. Two working parents who love our career.
Welcome to Best of Both, about how real women manage work for fun. From figures, we want you to get the...
Welcome to Best of Both Worlds, episode 230, Hodge Podge episode. Updates, a discussion of time tracking. So Sarah, a little bit on life in late January.
Yes. Okay. Recently created an rationing system for the kids. After one of my husband's call weekends, watched out on the floor on the hours. I had the sense off that they were losing the ability themselves in any other way. It was too much for me. To just create around it. And this screen time system, like what they can do, and also to tie certain behaviors. And so for the nuts and bolts of the system, days, we're still, because once they start playing video games, suck down, they get more hyper. Like on weekdays, once they've done taken a bath or shit's pretty much it. Because they have activity until 6, they get and then they can watch until 7 on the weekdays. They help, by the way, so that the kids have refer to it, and I put it against, they get 90 minutes, but they can earn up to 3 hours, so they can get on screens if they've done various things throughout the week, which they seem pretty motivated to do. And that's playing video games, doing whatever. And this is our first weekend on this report back. They're pretty good actually about not going to get it before 1:30 as our cutoff time, and that they're not going to ask me at getting them off. So that's going to be a hard set. Can do something other than that. So we'll see how
having something that's going to happen. We're going to go out we're going to go find a friend, the incentive part there.
I think we're going to have, if they don't want it, and then you can do your other quiet and else non-screen, but and I think maybe making it so.
And I was just going through your life updates you've listed here.
My life update, second life update is really boring. Early. I think it's the winter, even cold. Here, it's not even. My phone keeps giving me these freeze warning. It's going down to 30. Probably it's a plant thing. Might die down here. I don't know. Really cold for here.
Freeze alert.
But
it's still cold.
But having the kids, making sure their devices are theirs means that they go to bed. Like I don't have any energy ever. It's been great. And is that I remain off of all social media, which might be a lifetime. Now that it's gone, I'm like, I don't think there were some negative feelings that I had that were not worth I got out of it. I still read blogs. I like to comment. That doesn't seem to bother. I have to podcasts. I'm off of that. And then I'm really enjoying Wordle. Now the entire country seems to have taken off like wildfire, except for Laura.
Yes,
so far.
I am not doing. I don't know. I don't need.
It takes.
I'm sure it's a great thing. I totally support it for other people in a small bit of time, and like I get so it's it's like a little treat every single day. Not doing it yet. We just did the whole episode here about that, but I've been turning in the next ability by Tuesday, and so that's pretty excited about that.
For sneak peek.
Yeah. Well, sorry.
I don't even remember my feedback.
I didn't like the one that we were going. We'll see how it goes. But another life update. We recently tracking challenge. Simple tracking their time as tracking challenge. It was great. I'm getting lost. It's hard to get through. I'm still going all day, much like the boxes. Send a few emails about the time logs. I will get through all of them. But you did the time or a day or two,
for like most of a week, but then I had a really bad day and I was like, I don't know. It's emotionally, which is a bad excuse because you've done a few or 8 years, I don't even know, days in there.
What was the making you feel like that's sort of separate?
I just had totally separate, but I had a very work stress. I was just so upset about something. Didn't want to do anything.
You didn't, and so you wouldn't just stuff like that. I often just don't put work on the 30-minute thing about it. I'm just saying like, well, it was working, whatever, at work. And like,
there's no reason that I didn't. I think I didn't fill out my planner that day either. Like I was just sort of like,
everything.
I don't know. Yeah. Sometimes that happens. Of time tracking, like I often set up my planner with extent. I do time. I don't feel like there's a lot of time, especially now that I'm that definitely helps. Kind of boring. Like a lot of my days I like my morning, like nighttime routine where most nights I'm just like putting the kids to bed and reading and I'm fine with that. So great exercise though. I do kind of like not sure how long things really take. I have a handle on that right now, but maybe like after the move or when things change, I want to, okay, are there new apps to take advantage of pockets of time?
Yeah, no, that's definitely good. It's been interesting seeing people's, everyone who sends it in, like, was not a typical week. I was like, well, it's sort of life. We have a picture. Life never quite looks like that. And we're like, oh, that wasn't a typical week. Whatever it was then atypical. It's just never does go completely. These are people who subscribe to my newsletter, stuff going on their time. Like, these are like, so there's a lot of, and then the 2 on the weekend. So then, how much awesome stuff people have going on in life. But I would say that one thing that's coming up a lot to people is that I'm adjusting a lot that outside of work and family, because what's on the time log, like the person could theoretically have the time, right? Like they have thing is mostly just like weekends, there's a lot of period of time where they're doing, screen time because there, right? What happens is people have, through their lives, like they've work and, with young kids. And then there comes a point where some up, but if you worry that I have no time, you're going to do with it and the time thing. And so people like, think about it. Well, what, like if you said, I'm going to for 3 hours a week to, we'll see. This might be my mission. They need a hobby. So you're, at least one chunk of weekend time front to challenge people to think that have space for it. All right. So let's, because we have a lot of really.
Take a break first.
Okay. We are back with our Hodge Podge into the question chunk of it. We've got a lot of great all mailbag all the time. Up a little bit. All right. So this week, so she is a junior applying for a leadership local organization. She's however, it's going to be struggling to figure out how to end her the organization, the inclusion that she's out of the running is open, concerned about how herself for it. So for her,
I don't think I've ever done a high up. A lot of interviewing, whether that's, other physicians, 9 million residency interviews. So I got to say, enthusiasm and energy often sells itself like the table. And you may actually energy compared to maybe physicians that might be applying a job. And you can do an excited, positive way. Active is likely to bring in fresh, may not be able to bring it. I think having a lot of Laura's tips, but preparing your, being able to ask so that they understand that your real entails can end. Yeah, you are thinking about it enough. Bodes really, really well because you're thinking about what are they looking for? Like, how do I make this? They get like points for include applicant as well. So a lot going for you here.
Especially since you're already on the people who are making talk to them, like what they're thinking about the direction wants to go. And then you, of course, speak to how you in that direction, what you're trying to solve, and you are coming in as that problem. And our previous guests a few weeks ago, but the idea that storytelling really does help. And I know that stories are often very packaged and, whatever, but good narrative and about why of this organization, next step is to have you, that makes they've got this, you can come in to solve it, or you have also been going and now together, but something that is very, the narrative format, be powerful, definitely quite a bit as you, and just explain why yourself and in making your person, like clearly you do think you're the right. So think you are the right person comes out of it. I mean, it's like, there's no doing this because you will elevate career a lot in front of a lot of, just, put your name out there as who you should look at things. So I'm really glad.
Yes. Oh, best of luck. And, we'll see, but you're right. It's going to put you as a leader in the eyes of these people. So if it doesn't work out this time, it'll
Exactly. All right. This listener, weeks of maternity leave. Husband will also be off leave in his industry, which is first child is in full-time, moved 6 months ago, so they're organized. Neither leave without jeopardizing their prioritizing saving source of money. We don't sit still well, she says. She got bored enough that we went investing, once they've new baby, a couple bit more capacity to do stuff.
Yeah, this is such a fun experiment myself. Mine for me was some kind of course that like normally you wouldn't, that might be incremental, hours to it every day. Anything I was thinking about like guitar, learning to code, I don't know, anything. Passion that you always thought, well, you probably was for some of those weeks, again, home as well. That is such a fantastic setup. I also like the idea of a reading challenge. I like the idea of, but you could decide you could genres that you don't normally. I read about a reading challenge and this one's a little much she read 1 year from the years of like 19 to 2018 or, oh my goodness, like what an immense, so much history. And so I thought that was super cool. So something. And then finally, shorter trips to do while your kid first thought was like a longer haul. Yes, of course, traveling with a newborn, that might not be fun to go somewhere for an entire month. So that's just like new surrounding, a really fun time to do it.
And it's pretty cool where you can't miss it. So, but yeah, I love the idea of a mini piece or start a blog or at a pace for one big adventure. And adventure, big could totally do while the newborn's pretty poor museum, but try to do at least one per week. So you are feeling interesting. All right. So the next question. This person was writing specifically to their 4-year-olds are a few weeks ago. She loves her Genevieve. We are losing the with our daughter for what's to come. However, she does need afternoon time to decompress. Rejuvenated by a nap, but I'm hoping an activity to do the same. So this list doing things like podcast and nap. And if you're trying to, video games for afternoon that you hope in their decompress option. But she wonders if there what has Sarah been doing for post nap stage?
So we haven't had a nap in our house for because my kids, if they are napping, they're anywhere at be up at 10 or 11. And we tend to be an early, the loss of the nap or backwards right now. And this it's not really for her to decompress necessarily. Although to some extent, just sitting around and watching a more peaceful show can be a little bit of a break and a decompression. It's more to give myself a break and my husband. And so, yeah, screen time is our normal answer. Our normal during the week, it's, she goes, so when she gets home time necessarily, maybe she takes like a 5-minute nap. But on the weekend morning, and then we have lunch usually at home or then my kids all know like around 1:30, they're on time and she's included, want the screen time for because, she'll wander their toys and things, that does give everybody a break enough. I think some shows, so you can think about what kind of content. I love the idea of like an audiobook, good option, especially the other kids are watching something that she's not interested in, put something audio with like Calico Critters. That could totally work as well. In mind right now, let us know.
Managing a crisis, somebody say, I'm just hopefully somebody else can deal with it.
This is real life, everyone.
We've just done screen time in the world. Everyone needs a brain break eventually. That is kind of life. Is where do you put after you are done? Background of here, we are doing Legos with my big kid. It's a preteen child. And it takes a little bit of time, too much, but there's, very straight, a lot of these. There's a lot of Legos around the house. And my daughter tends, after they've been built, because they're being played with, those tend to wind up in a Lego extra pieces purposed for something eventually. We've tended to make more of play type things, like it's as like an artwork that you. So it's just put it up on a million of them, then you play. On the seasonal decorations, we pull out our Lego them up as Christmas. You don't have to get rid of all of them, keep all of them either. The universal answer is kind of like, do you like as you would like a vase, a framed photo or whatever, put it up somewhere in the house. And if you're not that excited.
This could be great for like a neighborhood swap. If your kid has like a ton of like especially somewhere, like throw it all in one plastic in the neighborhood would like take the whole thing.
Exactly.
Or they could trade.
Yeah. I mean, like Duplow's kids will play with for young families who could use them. Love of the week, Sarah. What do you?
My love of the week cords, specific on the Anchor A work cord on super inexpensive charging cords and so I have red cords, computer, and I love it because like after even the original ones will fray. It's one of those things, working charging cord or like cord for years. It's a very easy to remedy.
Yes, solve that problem. Legos. I would say that January 28th is actually Lego Day, like National Lego Day or something. So we can celebrate a fair number of the Lego friends. Ruth, I don't like the boy toys, and certainly obviously they wish, and boys can, Lego thought about it. Like it's the characters, like Emma and the set, and so how with, and she do stuff in there, and we're focused on like let's get it done. So it's just basically children are all over or whatever, but when they wanted to pets, they didn't just say like they actually I think watched and thought about it in a lot of the Lego. I'm a fan of that.
Love it. I was just going to add a very interesting debate: Legos versus Minecraft. Well, this is more fun, and you can hear it and feel it. Ultimately decided on Minecraft, and being that it was better for the
Best of Both Worlds, a Hodge Podge episode. We will be back next week with more on making.
Thanks for listening. At theshoebox.com _shoebox on it.
You can find me, lauracam.com, with Worlds Podcast. For more on making together.